Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to hadith number 14 of the 40 hadith of Imam Nawawi, the Arba'in of Imam Nawawi. Hadith number 14 is titled Prohibition of a Blood of a Muslim. On the authority of Ibn Masud, may Allah be pleased with him, who said, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, it is not permissible to spill the blood of a Muslim except in three instances: the married person who commits adultery, a life for a life, and the one who forsakes his religion and separates from his community. So even though this hadith might talk of where you are allowed to kill the people, in fact the message is a powerful message focusing on the other direction, which is what? The hadith actually teaches us that it's not a free-for-all like it was in Jahiliyyah, of just killing and retribution and blood feuds and accusing somebody and publicly executing them. No. So it's saying, the hadith is basically teaching you that no more killing. This is it. Stop. We're moving away from Jahiliyyah. The only time you can kill are in those three instances, and that's done by the state, which we'll look at. Let's set the context. Jahiliyyah is a concept. It's not just a time frame, which it is, and it's also a concept. You can be civilized and live a Jahili way. For example, the Bedouins of pre-Islamic Arabia were Jahil in many of the things that they did. So were the civilized Romans, and so were the civilized Persians. For example, the Bedouins practiced blood feuds. Many people in civilized societies still practice blood feuds, even to this day. Did not the Romans have a Circus Maximus in every place that they took ownership of? There is a huge Circus Maximus in Jordan to this day. There is El Jam in Tunisia, a beautiful example of an ancient circus, huge building which most people don't know about. Then there's obviously the most famous one in Rome, where parts of it are fallen down, but it still stands. What were these for? These were for public entertainment, for the nobles, for the emperor, right down to the everyday person. You'd pay your tiny bit, you go to the circus, and what would you see? You'd see gladiators who were condemned prisoners, who had to fight with various weapons that they had chosen to form up different combinations and to kill each other. Literally to kill each other for the crowd. And the crowd would cheer, and when one person would disable the other person, he'd look towards the crowd, and the crowd could, if he had fought valiantly, the crowd would go like that, or the emperor would go like that. And if they wanted him to die, they'd all be going boo, the thumb down. What is this? I mean, we are so far removed from this kind of reality today that it seems crazy. But then again, not so much. What's happening in Spain with the Spanish bull runs to this day, where they torture a magnificent animal, an animal that they dare not stand in front of on their own. It would rip tens of you apart, and you're torturing it, you're stabbing it slowly, and before you finally kill it with a sword, and the whole crowd is there watching. Is this not Jahiliyyah? This is happening in a civilized society? Then you have every society across the spectrum. The Romans also, they would have Christians fed to the lions. They would have various animals. They had various forms of entertainment. They would even go as far as having naval fights, in their arenas, flood them up with water, put ships in there. It was a form of madness, really, from a society that claimed to be so civilized. To be a civilian of Rome meant you were protected by the citizen rights, whether you were Goth, whether you were Roman, or whether you were whatever. But then on the other side, they were doing stuff like this. We had child killings. Child killings due to poverty was something that wasn't just done in the Arabian Peninsula. It was done in, the Romans did it, the Chinese did it, the Indians. Even to this day, poor families still either sell their children or they kill their children. It's a sad reality. Many thousands every year die to this day due to this. This was done in pre-Islamic Arabia. It was done in the Roman Empire. In fact, in the Roman Empire, we still have, there's a letter that I read where a soldier was stationed in Alexandria, Egypt, and he wrote to his wife, she was pregnant, he said, if it's a male, if it's a female, get rid of it. Civilized society. So Jahiliyyah is a concept. not just a time period of to do with the pre-Islamic Arabs. It's a universal concept, and Islam came to remove people away from this jahili concept. Blood feuds were happening all the time, where if one member of your tribe was killed, then somebody had to be killed from that side. Doesn't matter, young person, old person, blood had to be drawn from a totally innocent person before the tribe would be satisfied. And coming to the word satisfaction, dueling, which was a worldwide thing, but it's very famous in the West, and it was done everywhere in the West, and it was to do with the nobles. So the nobles would be the ones to duel. Dueling is where one person feels a perceived slight or a disrespect, and then he thinks his honor's now been compromised, so he challenges that person to a duel. And that would normally be done by throwing down his glove, which meant that now I need to draw blood, or I need to kill to feel satisfied. His imaginary honor. And they had set elaborate rules around this. Rules that highly sophisticated, and rules of politeness around the act of harming each other, where you had a second and you had a second from both sides. It was the second that would give him the letter saying open challenge, so and so, sir so and so, duke so and so, earl so and so has challenged you. Do you accept the challenge? Written in formal English. And he would have to respond to the second, and if he said no, I don't accept, why not? He's of lower rank than me, right? And that would be very dangerous for him, because you've now just you've now disrespected the second who's working for the earl, who's also a noble, and he's his close friend, and you're telling him that this guy's not worthy of a duel, he's lower than you. You'd have to give a good reason. And if you back down, it was seen as cowardice. And then, they'd have to find a place, they'd have to decide on the weapon, they'd have to decide on whether it was a gun or a sword. The Americans and British favoured guns, the Europeans favoured swords, the Filipinos, the machetes, the Indonesian, Malaysians, and the Indians. An old Indian from the priestly, from the Kshatriya class, the warrior class, didn't want to die in bed. So when he realized he was close to death, he'd go out with his entourage, challenging other nobles or kings to duels, to go out fighting. So, you're going to cause death and destruction as you're going out, basically. What a well done. What a noble life you led. So this, and the Kshatriya were nobles, by the way. So this is the understanding of Jahiliyyah, and this was happening. Like, dueling still happens today. During my time in Saudi, I heard of a story in Yemen where a nephew and an uncle stood on opposite hills shooting at each other as a form of satisfaction. So there were cases of politicians as late as this century in South America dueling. And there are cases of dueling from nobles. When I say this century, I mean the 20th century, not the 21st century. Dueling in the 1900s, up to the 50s and 60s, duels that had happened. So this is complete and utter Jahiliyyah. Islam put a stop to all of this. Poor would get punished more than the rich. So if a crime happened, if you murdered someone or you raped someone, the rich would get away scot-free. If you were in the Senate, if you were a high-ranking lawyer, if you were a high-ranking military official, you'd get away. If you were a religious authority of the land, if you were related somehow to the king, you would get away with that scot-free or with a light tap on the wrist. It was the poor that would suffer. He would probably be given nothing or some slight compensation and told to go and not complain again. He had no recourse to justice or to action. The rich, even today, get away with crimes. Did not O.J. Simpson get away with his murder? Do not rich people, senators, did not Bill Clinton get away with his action? Did not George Bush and the British Prime Minister Tony Blair get away with accusing Iraq of having weapons of mass destruction, the wholesale destruction of a country? To this day, it's been 20 years and Iraq has not recovered from that shock. And it's become a hotbed of terrorist activity, rebellious activity, all because of the instability of when you went in and destroyed that country for no reason but to steal their oil. And for all the you talk about the UN representing justice and peace around the world, who's brought them to justice? What's happened there? Nothing's happened. So these are the kind of things, this is kind of injustice that Islam came to remove. Was Umar not reprimanded by a female in the crowd? Was Sayyidina Ali, did a Jew not take him to court over something and the court ruled in the favor of the Jew? So many times in the time of Rasul said that even if a Jew or a Christian were to come to him asking for his right, and that right was correct over a Muslim, Rasul would side with the Jew or the Christian over a Muslim to ensure that those rights were fulfilled. There was no favoritism. There was no because you're on this side of the fence, it's us against them, or because you're rich, or because you're from Bani Hashim, or none of that. None of that. It was a simple case of equal law for everybody. Did not Umar slap a chieftain of the Arabs, one of the aristocratic chiefs that came from another tribe? A companion of lower standing spoke to him and he slapped him. That, how dare you address me like that? And Umar asked that companion to slap him back, and that chief, the out of shame, left town. So there are many instances of this. So this is what the main argument the hadith is making, is pointing towards this side, that let's take a look, it's telling us to move away from all of this. So another example would be the slavery laws in America. Slavery laws in America favored the white owners. Chattel slaves had no rights. When they were thrown overboard, in a case of when disease was when one of the ship's captains had no food. If you read the story of American slavery, it's a tragic story of hundreds of years of abuse on black Africans from Africa that were imported to the New World, worked on sugar plantations, worked in the Caribbean islands, worked in the deep south of America, North America, and in the southern states of South America as well. Some of the pitiless stories: one captain on his voyage, over 100 slaves he threw overboard because he couldn't feed them. And when that came to light, the only thing that happened is he claimed insurance. They claimed insurance that our cargo's been lost, so we need to be reimbursed. And it was only after, when it was taken up by some people that cared, that it was seen as a huge thing that they had been killed and they were humans. The Pope actually at that time said, even though they didn't accept a lot of what was happening in slavery, they said it's a necessary evil. How do you justify that? A necessary evil? Wasn't Jesus the prophet of love? Didn't he come to preach, turn the other cheek and love for your brother what you love for yourself, and all of this? How could you then say it's a necessary evil? This was the jahiliyyah. This was the blindness that everybody was living in. So, for example, other laws. A white slave owner, the laws of murder didn't apply to him. He could do with his property as he pleased. He could kill his property. He could kill the slaves, and there was no recourse to justice. Nobody would say anything. In fact, slaves that ran away could be cured. Minimum 90 lashes for 9 days non-stop. They were lashed, and they would be cured. Their heads would be strung up. You could take any slave you want. If friends visited you, you could call a female slave and you could give her over to the friend to enjoy for the night. This was seen as routine and normal. They had no rights. They literally weren't seen as people with any rights. Is this not jahiliyyah? In the New World, the land of the free, the home of the brave, as they say, people immigrated from all over the world to America to escape persecutions in their own countries. And when they got there, they found that certain laws applied to white people only. And as late as the 60s, the 50s, 60s and 70s in America, blacks didn't have equal rights. So what kind of jahiliyyah is this? Islam came to put a stop to all of this. Everybody was equal, slave, non-slave, black, white, Christian, Muslim. Everybody was on equal footing. Everybody was equal before the law. Everybody was judged equally before the law. And the only time, like in the past, you could murder somebody, oh, he looked at my sister. Oh, I suspected my wife of being with not my wife, but for example, I suspected my wife of being with someone, and I killed him and him. And many laws in the world, they understood crimes of passion, and the penalties were low for those crimes of passion. When we're saying low, we're talking just 2 years. Most of the Arab world has a crime of passion today, where you only go, it's penal, it's code, I don't remember the code. You go in for a maximum of 3 years. This runs across all Arab countries. That's the reason why you have honor killings. And honor killings is not just exclusive to Arabs, it's exclusive to all over the world. Every country has honor killings of various sorts. It's not to do with religion. Again, it's to do with those perceived slights and disrespects and everything. So honor killings and these things only happen because there's no law, there's no recourse to justice. You can just go and willy-nilly kill certain family members as a point of honor, and no one will do anything. Many times in certain countries, if your daughter gets raped, they will force you to marry the rapist. Worse, they will kill the daughter to safeguard the honor of the tribe. What a jahiliyyah is this? So aspects of jahiliyyah have always been around, and Islam came to stop jahiliyyah. It laid down a beautiful law to the world to adopt, to the civilized societies and to the non-civilized societies, and said, look, this is how we should be behaving. Life was very brutal and cheap. If you look at the records of deaths in the Middle Ages for England, for London, a tiny city like London, they were incredibly high. They were higher than many parts of America today. It was unbelievable how cheap life was. People would kill. There's no recourse to law. There were no, the law didn't have there weren't no police forces. There were no strong courts where you could go and fight your case if you were a nobody. So people would just kill each other. Today, in many parts of the world, blasphemy, perceived blasphemy, people take the law into their own hands and kill you on the street because they know nothing will happen. Car accidents in some parts of the world, if somebody runs you over, when people will just drag you out the car and beat you to death because they know it's not going to get to court, nothing's going to happen. That's the arbitrary justice. Even today, like lynchings, public lynchings, you'll find videos all over YouTube from various countries in the world, and it's a very sad state. And may Allah protect people from this. May Allah protect people from this. And it's only because of a lack of education. This is jahiliyyah. Islam came to ennoble people. That's the reason why we don't watch horror films, or where they disfigure humans. We don't watch killing type films where humans are killing humans. Even computer games, like where you're going around killing humans. Allah has ennobled the human being. It's sinful and disliked to watch another human being dying. People have a macabre fascination with watching death videos. They pass them on to each other. Where is the respect for that human being? Somebody's son, somebody's mother, somebody's father, somebody's sister, somebody's grandfather. Where is the respect for the human being? Would you like your family member to be a spectacle of enjoyment for the whole world to watch if something tragic like that happened? So we ask Allah to save everybody, to preserve everybody's izzah and honor and dignity from these kind of things. So the hadith is looking at all of this, and then it's speaking. This is what we need to understand. There are some places where the law is implemented. What would those places be? This is what we're going to have a look at next. That would be the adulterer, the one who kills, and the apostate. So let's go through them one by one. Why would the adulterer be killed? First of all, the death penalty is still viable in many parts of the world. The USA has the most number of people on death row in the world. The USA has the most, I think it's been overtaken by China now. But at one point, the USA and China and places like that have the highest number of capital killings, like where the law passes capital punishment over you. So depending on your state, you'll die by electric shock, which is not an easy way to die. It's a very gruesome way to be killed by the lethal injection. Back in England, at Tyburn near Hyde Park, there would be like a tripod, like three-beamed tripod standing where they would hang people from each side. In the last century, in the mid part of last century only, in the 1900s, the last person in England was hanged. So just because we don't see that punishment in certain countries, we find it difficult to understand how other countries could practice it. Adultery is a sin. So the difference between fornication and adultery is in adultery, in fornication, it's between an unmarried girl and an unmarried guy. When they commit fornication, they've only harmed each other. There is a crime, there is a punishment on this. In many parts of the world, it's death. I'm talking about non-Muslim cultures. In traditional cultures, it was always death. Or some sort of punishment. In Islam, there's a punishment, there's a number of lashes that they're both given, and then they both go, and then there's no blame on them once they've been punished. Adultery is a far more serious crime than this. It involves a married man or a married woman with another married man, married woman, or a single man and a single woman. The one who commits adultery, the one who's married, man and woman. Now, not only have they harmed themselves, they've harmed their family, their partners, they've harmed their children. And you see in the West today that children that grow, and this leads to broken homes. Right? Adultery leads to broken homes. And in the West today, and even in the East, you'll see that the highest percentage of criminals come from families where there's an absent father. There's no father figure that these children can turn to, and they turn to bad role models for company, to each other for company, and they're a law unto themselves. They have no scruples, morals, dignity, honor, nothing. You know, they'll kill you for a packet of gum. That's what they're like. And the jails are full of youth. You get teenage killers from broken homes. You get people walking around the street, worthless scum of society, yet they walk around like they have self-respect. And if you barge them, you can die for that, because you've now disrespected them. People who had no honor all of a sudden feel disrespected because of a shoulder. How can society become like that? It's become like that because there are absent fathers. Fathers that have committed adultery, broken families up. Fathers who are alcoholics. Mothers who are alcoholics. Fathers who are criminals themselves in jails. Families that split up, the kids become unstable. The cornerstone of civilization is the family unit. It's like a house with a cornerstone. You take the cornerstone out, the house is now unstable. The cornerstone of society is the family unit. You break apart the family unit, you start to pick apart at the seams of society. That's the reason why Islam comes down very heavy on those who commit adultery. And punishments are not slaps on the wrist. It's commensurate with your crime. So it's a deterrent. The idea of a punishment always has been a deterrent for society as well. So that's the reason why an adulterer. And it's not for the people. For example, if you catch your wife, may Allah save everybody from this, in the act of adultery, it's not for you to kill. You don't have that right. It goes to court, and it's only an Islamic court. And when I said Islamic, this would absolve many Muslim countries as well. This would take out of the picture many Muslim countries as well, because many of the courts in Muslim countries are not fully Islamic. We're talking about a fully Islamic court with an Islamic judge, with an Islamic, the panel and everything, who would judge by the book of Allah and the Sunnah of Rasul. And then again, you'd need 4 witnesses. So you can't have seen, even if you saw 2 people naked together on top of each other, that doesn't constitute adultery. 4 people have to see the act of penetration. Where are you going to pull those people from? Who would have seen that? Nobody commits adultery in public. So in history, most people that have been accused, we're talking like in the time of Rasul, the people that had been accused of adultery and been stoned were people that had self-confessed. They wanted purification, purgatory. They wanted to be purified. And in the first instance, Rasul would again turn away from them. Why? Because it's better that I don't hear it. Because if you've committed a crime, ask Allah to forgive you, and Allah will forgive you as long as the crime is hidden. But if you declare it in public, now the law has to act. And the Rasul is representing the law of Allah. So the law has to then now punish you. There was a time when like obviously the Messenger of Allah would turn away, and then ask people, how is he? Like, is he sane? Is he drunk? And once they found out he wasn't, there was an instance where one man ran away and they chased him, caught him, and then they stoned him. And when Rasul found out, he says, if only he had gotten away, i.e. Allah would have judged him then if he had escaped from your hands. So we need to, understand this. So when you hear of cases of women being killed for adultery or men being killed for adultery, where's the proof of this? There's no proof. This is a very rare chance that this will happen. The one who kills a life for a life, common sense. A life for a life is common sense. If you got a murderer in society who's murdered other people, how do you stop that action? Do you send him to prison where it's a network, it's the best networking place for criminals, they come out worse than they did before? Or do you then end that life to stop that belligerence and stop that crime from happening again? A life for a life, it makes sense, it's a huge deterrent. It stops you killing again. When you know you're going to go in for 8 years, or you're going to plead insanity, or you're going to come out good behavior after 4 or 5 years, where's the incentive? But if you know that if you kill someone, your head is off, you're not going to kill. Like the chances are very rare that you're going to kill. So this is the number 2. And then the apostate. Now this is the controversial one. A lot's been written about this and understood, but to say it here very briefly, apostasy is akin to rebellion, it's akin to treason even. And what's the punishment for treason all over the world? Right? You're looking at lengthy jail term, and in the recent past it was death. Treason is one of the biggest crimes that you can do against the state, and it's death, even in the West. This law came about, the reason this law came about was in the time of, it was at one of the battles, I think it was Khaybar or something. The people of the book would become Muslim in the morning, Jews or Christians, and then renounce their faith at night time. Become Muslim and then renounce, as a form of hypocrisy. Now the problem with this is that the new Muslims who had only been Muslims for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years max, they would see this behavior and think the Christians and the Jews have a tradition that goes back thousands of years. And they know things, they understand things. Even the rabbis, the learned Christian clergy, and the rabbis who would spend their lifetime devoted to their books, and they would know things. And if they accepted Islam, they would know things deeper than us for them to accept Islam. And if they were to leave the same evening, maybe they know something we don't know. So what that does is it weakens and shakes the people who have weak iman, and it shakes your society. So it's a form of harm to a society, and it's akin to rebellion. That's why highway robbers, there's a strict punishment for highway robbers in every society. Why? Because you're causing rebellion in the provinces outside of the king's control, the governor's control, the police's control. You're causing supply lanes to break down, you're causing mail to break down, you're causing roads to not be safe. And this is a massive problem. That's why highway robbers were traditionally not shown much compassion. Likewise, apostasy is seen as a very, very big thing, and it's akin to rebellion. Now, none of these laws would apply in a non-Muslim land, and they would only apply in a Muslim land if there is a Muslim court. So, nobody in a Muslim country or non-Muslim country can take the law into their own hands and say, right, he's an apostate, let's kill him, or that's a killer, or that's an adulteress. No, it's not for you to decide. There's a due legal process, and it's for the courts to decide. And in every instance, the courts will try to find an excuse, find a way out. Somebody stole, and he was brought to Umar ibn Khattab, and Umar said, "Did you steal? Say no." The guy was like, no. Oh, you said no, go. You find an excuse. The courts find an excuse to let the person go. That's the reason why you see traditionally the punishments were very low in traditional societies, because they were self-governing, they would take care of themselves, and they would forgive a lot. And when it would get to court, true courts, even in the West, they say innocent until proven guilty. You need to find any excuse. You cannot convict until you're 100% sure. And most court cases, you're not 100% sure, so you have to let that person go. For example, when it comes to the apostasy laws, the 3 of the Imams said, no, it's compulsory for that person to be given the chance to repent. Right? And most people, when they're about to have their head chopped off, so to speak, they're going to say, oh, yeah, we're Muslim. Okay, you said you're a Muslim? Okay, there you go now. Imam Abu Hanifa was the only one that said it's a recommendation, it's not obligatory. It's not something that must be done, it's a recommendation. But the point is that you give them the chance, right? Because you don't really want to punish people. And for women, you do not kill a woman, you just imprison them. And then she's got a chance to say, okay, I've accepted now. So then she's let out. So these are very important things to understand. So this is the understanding of this hadith. May Allah make us of people of deep understanding of the Sunnah of Rasul. Sometimes you see a hadith, it means something, but once you unpack it, it means something. It's opened up a vast picture on the other side for you. May Allah give us the ability to understand this. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.